Okay guys, so as you can see behind me, Dad's just unloading into the last of the wheat out of this paddock E. The moisture level at the moment, still playing around a wee bit, but it is down to 15.5 of course, moisture. We're just changing paddocks, so when he goes around the outside, he likes to start out empty of course. When you hit a new paddock, you want to start out empty because the outside round's quite a big one. He may have some cab wheat, which is of course not a great situation, but sometimes it happens. At that point he'll stop and may have to reverse up and get out of there and just make himself a little U-turn bay, I guess, and get out of there. But I'm hoping that he'll make it across to another laneway, and at that point I'll be back and unload. Just with the moisture level, I found that I was leaving the moisture meter in the sun beside the auger, and it was starting to get quite hot, and so I moved it into the shade, into some cool grass in the shade, next to some concrete that was also quite cool. So then all of a sudden the moisture levels just dropped down a couple of percentage. Now that in one load to drop down a couple of percents is quite abnormal, I'd say. Now I'm putting it down to the machine. It's been quite warm. I don't know if any of you other farmers that are watching have found that. Your moisture meter, you leave it in the sun and it reads quite a high content of moisture, and it's kind of off-putting. But yeah, anyway, you guys may have found something. It may also, that little pointer may also help someone. Putting it now in a cool spot, and gee, I've spilled a bit of grain, haven't I? So now we just put her in a cool spot, and it seems to be reading pretty okay. It seems to be very consistent as well. Now that might be because of the weather though, because the weather hasn't changed much in the last couple of hours, so the moisture level of course wouldn't change. As that is all she wrote for today, and as you can see, it's just parked there, unloading the harvester. This will be the last load of the day. It shot back up to just under 16% moisture, so we are going to call it quits for today. But it was a good day. We got about, I'd say about 10 hectares done, if not just below it. So I'm pretty stoked with that. I had moved the auger onto another silo because we don't want to completely full the drying silo, as if you completely fill it up, then all that damp air, it's going to be harder for it to get out. And so if we just 2/3 full it, we'll be faster at drying grain. If you fill it right up, it's going to take ages to dry that damp grain. We've just left it 2/3 full, and the way we gauge that is I just climb up the ladder and just hit the side, and if it feels solid, that means there's grain there, and then you'll slowly find the gap where there's no grain, and then you just sort of work up and down, and then you just can pick where it is in the silo. And of course there is the crown that you add in, and that's how you get your level. So I'm just heading back. We're going to leave this load sitting in the shed. It'll, because it's a little bit wetter, it'll cool down overnight, just sitting there in the trailer. It'll be good for it. We will leave the lids open on the silos as well. That's just to let the heat of the grain out, as it's a wee bit like you and me going for a run and then we go into a building. You got to let your body breathe a wee bit. Sitting outside helps, and so that's why we do that. Now, in one of those clips you would have seen the silo dust. Here it is. Hopefully the GoPro would have picked it up of when I put it in beside the grain. I'll just sit an amount there, and it slowly jiggles and feeds through. And I put that in at a rate of 200 grams per metric ton, and so that's what we put it in, and jiggles its way through. And if it doesn't, then it gets mixed as it goes up, self-mixing basically, because obviously the grain weighs more than the powder, so naturally they mix quite well and moves through it. The powder will move through the grain as it moves up the auger. So as you can see, I'm dusty and dirty, and I'm just currently following Dad back to the yard. That's why I slowed down. So we're going to call it quits for the day, guys. Hey, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much to those who have subscribed and got on the bandwagon, I guess. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope everybody's learning something. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go in and grab some tucker, and we'll catch you later on. Anyway, cheers, guys. Come here, Millie. What do you want? What do you want? High five. High five. Come here.